Have you ever heard the phrase, you are what you eat? What if I told you that food additives are making Americans sick? And they're increasing the risk of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. We will be discussing three things, which are what food additives are, health risks, and the long-term complications. So what are food additives? They are used for taste and preservation. According to Dr. Haas, they serve several purposes, which are to improve shelf life, the ease of preparation for your food, such as frozen meals that go into the microwave, taste, and appeal. So what is the big deal with food additives? Well, the more additives that you have in your food, the less and less nutritious that our foods become, especially here in America. For instance, some are made completely of chemicals. Examples of those are coffee creamers, sugar substitutes, and candies. The CDC reports that 1 in 3 Americans will have type 2 diabetes by 2030. So you can take that as if you have a person to your right and a person to your left. One of the three of you will have type 2 diabetes. That is quite a high statistic. Dr. Haas also reports that the manipulation of our foods changes our body's unique biochemical balance. Additionally, additives that are allowed in our foods are banned in Europe, China, and Japan. So if they're banning them in other countries, why are we not banning them here? Next, additives are affecting Americans' health. Whether you believe it or not, they truly are. I'm going to be talking about 3 that cause the most harm to our health, which are sugar, dyes, and trans fats. Sugar is the biggest component affecting Americans' health. It's found in nearly every food that you consume and is the major reason for the increase in type 2 diabetes among Americans. Complications of type 2 diabetes are heart disease, kidney failure, hypertension, loss of vision, or possible amputation for the long-term complications. The article Killing Us Softly, Sugar Addiction 2017 states, if our food was only slightly sweetened, our modern palates would reject it. We are so used to our foods being overly sugared that we're not used to natural sugar and or no sugar. So enough rambling about sugar, let's talk about food dyes and why they're necessary. First, food dyes are not necessary whatsoever. They're merely for appearance and marketing. Examples of food dyes that you can find on labels on the back of your foods, such as Crystal Light or any other food label that you look at, is yellow dye 6 and red 40, which are actually made from coal tar. Quite weird that we have coal tar in our food. The art of coal, chemical food additives that are legal and banned abroad, states food dyes are well-known carcinogens. So what does that mean? Food dyes cause cancer, basically. The FDA is aware of these side effects, and they're not enforcing less toxic alternatives for our health and our families. But in contrast, some companies are making changes without any interventions from the FDA. Starbucks and Nestle are among companies that are switching to those natural alternative dyes that don't have any carcinogens in them. Last but not least, I'm going to be talking to you about trans fats. So trans fats are used to make foods more solid, tasty, and more desirable in texture. For example, they can be found in deep fried foods, cakes, pies, cookies, biscuits, margarine, crackers, popcorn, donuts, and pizza. They are found in a lot of foods. So that is another label that you can check on the back of your food labels. If it says trans fat on the label, you put it back. It should have a 0 next to the trans fat. The FDA is also aware of this, and they are working on banning it. That is one thing they are working on banning. But registered dietitian Christian Kilpatrick urges you to stop now. The reason being is that it increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. You can see a recurring theme here with a lot of our food additives and how they really are affecting our health. So last, we're going to be discussing the long-term effects of additives on our health in America. The Center for Science in the Public Interest reports that 678,000 deaths each year are related to nutrition and obesity in America, such as heart disease, cancer, and type 2 diabetes. So the main reason for our diet having so many complications are these additives and how they affect the way that our body metabolizes things. Americans' diets severely lack fresh fruits, veggies, whole grains, calcium, and fiber. We are ranked 26th out of 35 countries for the average life expectancy. Our average is 79, where many other countries surpass that. As I mentioned earlier, those countries that regulate food additives, such as Europe, China, and Japan, have a much higher life expectancy than we do. So for example, I'm going to be showing you a chart that shows you where we rank at. And this chart came from American Health Ranking Organization Annual Report of 2016. So we are all the way down here for average life expectancy at 79. Japan is at the very top, around 85, and surpassing that. And the majority of these other countries are European countries, such as Iceland, France, Canada's even up here, Norway, New Zealand, Australia, and we are all the way down here. So that is quite a staggering difference in how our health is managed. And I believe it is really focused on how our government allows additives in our food. So to conclude, hopefully I have educated you and persuaded you that food additives are bad for our health. So you're asking yourself, what can I do to improve my health for my family, friends, and future? Well, as a soon-to-be nurse, it is my duty to educate my patients on becoming the most healthy, happy person that they can be. And today, all of you just became my patients. So I hope that I'm going to help you guys have long, healthy lives. So let's remember to read our food labels, reduce sugar, avoid dyes in our food, and trans fats. Stay far, far, far away from trans fats. We should all be living long lives free of complications that could be prevented if the FDA did ban these. Too many of us are suffering from what the FDA does allow in our foods. So until stricter regulations are in place, we need to take proactive steps to reduce health disease in America. And here are my speaking notes.